fellow dorks on YouTube. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Boiler Treatment, where we basically rip off any sort of Tonight Show / Jimmy Fallon or Fimi Jallin or I don't know. I am your host, the kid about trains, Carson Hatter, yes, that's me. And today, on today's show, we are interviewing this wonderful man. He may or may not be my father. He has an amazing and informative YouTube video or YouTube channel about trains and whatnot. It's Eric Hatter.
Thank you.
So quick thing, Boiler Treatment. It's just going to be like a little talk show where we talk random stuff about depending who I'm with. I might do other seasons with other friends depending upon how this goes. Where we are going to trade stories, talk about random stuff, answer questions, basically just a podcast, but with moving pictures. Well, we are here.
Yes, in our living room.
Yes, in our house of all places. So, you want to start with your story, or should we start with my story?
Let's start with your story.
All right. So, today's episode is going to be about the, how do I pronounce it? Siskiyou? The Siskiyou Massacre. Where do you think we are?
Siskiyou Massacre. I think Siskiyou is in the Pacific Northwest, probably Washington State, I believe.
Yeah. So, this is a railroad-related story. I'm just gonna get right in, I guess. All right. There are 3 French last name. I'm probably gonna butcher this a ton. Diatrumont?
I don't know that.
Diatrumont brothers. They worked in Silverton, as probably during Silverton, Colorado, for 4 months until October 11th, 1923. All right. And then they attempted to rob a Southern Pacific Railroad train number 13, which ran from Portland to San Francisco. It was labeled the San Francisco Express. You heard this?
No.
No? All right. Wow, a story he doesn't know. All right. The San Francisco Express. This traveled through the Siskiyou Mountains, which span the northwestern California and southwestern Oregon. Normal safety procedures call for slowing the train at the top of Siskiyou Pass at an elevation of 4,122 feet to test its brakes before the steep descent into California. I'm pretty sure that's where our story takes place, up on this pass where the train slows down.
I've been over that pass on the Coast Star Line.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It was snowing in March. Snow drifts were, I think, 8 feet in March.
Jeez, that's too bad this isn't a railroading in the snow story. We'll get there eventually. All right, so the express train was only a few miles from the Siskiyou station, milepost 402.2. This story was submitted to me by a friend of mine. You may know him, Ezra.
Yeah.
Yes. Great friend of mine. We will have him on the channel at some point. And he said, hey, my grandpa told me this story a while ago. You should put it on your channel. So I'm like, okay. It's very specific. It's pretty sweet. All right. They ended up boarding the train, waiting for steam locomotive number 3626 to arrive. Roy and Hugh, I guess these are 2 of the brothers. So I think it's triplets. They're 3 brothers. Okay, so 3 brothers. Roy and Hugh climbed aboard the locomotive tender and forced the engineer, Sidney Bates, to stop the train while most of it was still inside the 3,108-foot tunnel. Number 13. Oh, tunnel number 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many tunnels are there?
Obviously, at least 13.
That's a lot of tunnels.
There's a lot of tunnels on that line.
Is it? Because wouldn't they just call it a subway at that point? Like, it's mostly underground.
Not mostly, but there are a lot of tunnels and there were a lot of snow sheds too.
A Asphyxiation would be very fun, I guess. Yay.
Yep, especially with steam engines.
Yeah. Oh.
So on my YouTube channel, which you mentioned, I did a video when I took the Coast Starlight up to Oregon 2 years ago, and then I did a video of that, and it covers going over Siskiyou Pass.
I will put photos in the video right here then. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright. Ray waited on the ground near the tunnel portal with dynamite. Where'd dynamite come? I guess they have dynamite now? I don't know what they're gonna blow up. They're gonna blow something up. The brothers were armed with sawed-off shotguns while Roy watched the engineer. Ray and Hugh went ahead to the baggage mail car, which was ONC. ONC number 5037, a Pullman class 60 BP 30-1. Gibberish. I don't know train cars. I know locomotives and railroads, and that's about it. Train cars aren't. Do you have any idea?
No.
I'm going to look it up, and I'm also going to put it right here. This thingy, which they thought was carrying an estimated $40,000, 1923 money. That would be, what would that be nowadays? 60?
Well, that's over 100 years ago. You can certainly look it up.
No,
I mean,
my phone's recording now.
No, I mean later.
All right. Well,
Yes.
I'm just gonna put the.
There's an inflation calculator. You can go online and
Yeah.
look up what that would be in today's dollars.
I'm just gonna put the value right here, like everything else in this video.
But like $43,000, it's going to be quite a bit.
$40,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, that's
in today's dollars.
that's at least 60.
60,000?
Yeah.
No, it's way more than that.
I know. I said at least.
Yes.
All right. When portal clerk.
Think about back then. You could probably buy a Coke for a nickel.
Oh, geez, that's at least $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Postal clerk. Elvyn. ELVYN. Elvyn?
Elvian, maybe?
Elvis, no. Elvin Doherty. Doherty? I'm butchering these names so much. I'm so sorry if there's any family members watching this. Family members of these people. He saw the two approach the mail car and he closed the door. And Hugh fired his shotgun twice. Don't know where, assuming at the train car. Not too many details there. Ray then attached a dynamite charge with all the dynamite they had stolen. Oh, stolen dynamite. Maybe I should look up for more details prior to this. Interesting, though. All right. Ray then... Okay, dynamite they had stolen to the mail car's door and ran for cover with his brothers. Roy described what happened in his sworn statements years later. Oh, there's a statement. All right. Roy gave the detonator a push and the mouth of the tunnel was rocked by a tremendous explosion. It was far stronger than what we had planned. In fact, the blast was so severe that the mail clerk was blown to bits. I then took the firemen and started back down to the track to uncouple a mail car, but the grassy and smoky air was so thick I had called for the firemen. The fireman and the engineer were then marched to the car, and in a few seconds I saw someone coming with a red lantern from the passenger cars. This is a passenger train. This isn't gonna go well. I missed that detail. Okay, my red lantern from the passenger cars, still in the tunnel. I shot at the man who was the conductor with my shotgun, and at the same time Hugh shot him with his .45 Colt. So probably a revolver? Or 1911. Don't know. The man staggered and I could see he was dying. Hugh walked over to him and shot him again, in cold blood. Jeez. Hugh. Jeez. An animal. Oh my god, okay. Okay. The engineer was put back into the cabin. Hugh told him to pull the main car up ahead. He attempted to do this a number of times, but the engine wheels merely spun and the cars failed to move. Well, half the train car has been blown apart. Not surprised. Interesting. He attempted to do this. Okay. He then put the engineer back on the ground side next to the fireman, while Ray and I looked the thing over to see what could be done about uncoupling the mail car and the engine. But there was nothing we could do. So we walked back to the mail car and entered through the blown out front end. Our flashlights could not cut the steam and smoke, so we left the mail car. Hugh, in the meantime, ordered the engineer back into the cab. So basically, Western, kind of like, move the train! Sir, the train won't move. Alright, fine, let's see what we can do. And then it's just going all down. Their plan isn't going too well. Kind of fortunate, but also kind of like, you would have thought they would have known a bit more. I don't know. They're from Silverton, so clearly it's not going well. The fireman was standing alongside the engine with his arms in the air. Ray and I had a brief consultation as to what we should do. We decided to kill the fireman. That's the last guy you want to kill. He keeps the locomotive from blowing up. Why would they kill the fireman?
Because he can identify them.
Yeah, but still, like, why then? Why not wait? If they're gonna take the engine. I don't know. This is strange. Strange, ladies and gentlemen. Ray shot him twice with the Colt. Hugh had the engineer covered, and I shouted at him to bump him off, and he would wound, and we would clear out. We didn't want any witnesses. Hugh quickly shot the man in the head with his shotgun. We then fled to our cache, which was between 2 and 3 miles northeast of the south entrance of the tunnel. That's a lot of directions. Alright, so that's the end of his statement. So basically, kill all the crew and run as fast as possible, and I don't think they eventually got their money. I don't think they got the 40,000 or 40,000, we don't know. The brothers were then forced to flee empty-handed while a second conductor ran to a nearby emergency phone and reported the robbery to authorities in Ashland, Oregon. Why are there 2 conductors on a train?
Well, maybe the one conductor is called brakeman, but you know how media is, and they can't identify what people's actual titles are.
Yeah.
They screw that stuff up all the time. They call engineers conductors and conductors engineers.
They're all conductors.
They're all conductors.
All conductors. The conductor drives the train, the conductor fires the train, the conductor attends to the passengers, he sets the throttle and runs back to the passenger cars to punch tickets. Sarcasm. If there's any really young people out there who don't understand sarcasm.
Bazinga.
Or it could be like, we need, okay. We're putting a bad joke counter in here now. We're a bad quote counter in here now.
That wasn't a bad quote.
Bazinga. 4 people just died.
No, but about the difference between conductors and engineers and trying to get and mistakes from people not identifying proper terminology.
Yeah, that's fair. Or it could be like a boss riding the train, like Jeff happens to be riding on Polar, and I don't know, somebody ends up getting shot. Bernie gets shot or something. I don't know.
That would be pretty tragic.
That would be tragic. That'd be very tragic. I hope that never happens. All right. The bodies of the 4 victims were found at the scene of the crime. Engineer Bates, Fireman Marvin Sang, S-E-N-G, Sang, okay. Were beside the engine cab beside the engine cab dash, each had been shot in the head. Train passenger / railroad brakeman, okay, so there are brakemen now. Coyle O. Johnson was shot 4 times in the stomach and died from his wounds. Okay, so he was a brakeman, he was off duty, and he was shot when he got off the train.
Bummer. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. Ugh. Up 4-2. The charred body of the mail clerk Doherty was in the mail car. Police investigators later found a detonator and a discarded .45 caliber pistol at the scene, as well as 3 gunny sacks which had been soaked in creosote and dragged along the ground to throw the bloodhounds off their trail. I don't know anything about creosote. Do you know anything about creosote?
It's a oil made from a plant that smells and is nasty. It's what they use in order to soak wood in order to keep bugs from eating it.
Okay.
Like
So basically
prioritize.
just kind of like a Febreze type thing, but with bad smelling stuff. The bloodhounds aren't going to want to follow.
Right.
All right.
It's strong enough that probably the thought is it would detract from the scent. It would dominate. It'd be too strong of a scent. Creosote does have a pretty strong smell.
The search party fanned out from Tunnel 13 and discovered a black traveling bag with a railroad shipping tag and a pair of green overalls. Over a dozen suspects were jailed and questioned, but local authorities made a headway in solving the case. So maybe they did get the money? I don't know. I don't know why they would have a railroad bag.
Why wouldn't they have gotten the money? Did they blow it up with dynamite?
Well, I
might have
thought
missed that part of the story.
flashlights could not cut through the steam and smoke, so we left the mail car. They didn't say they got the money, but they're probably not going to say so because this is a statement, probably for court, so it makes sense. All right. Where were we? All right. Dr. Edward Henrich, Heinrich, Henrich, okay. A chemistry professor at the University of California was brought in and was able to use early forensic methods to accurately provide a description of the suspect for police. Upon examining the green overalls found by investigators, Henrich reported the suspect was a left-handed lumberjack, approximately 25 years old, with brown hair and a fair complexion, was 5'8" in height and weighed 165 pounds. How does he get that from a pair of overalls?
Well, about the size of the overalls.
Well, yeah, but the weight.
Well, based upon how, like a waist size.
Left-handed, though. Oh, I guess the pistol and the... Okay. Okay. So it's not just the overalls. Oh, okay. So this included strands of hair in the presence of Douglas fir needles and fresh patch from pine trees. The overalls were only worn on the right side, suggesting the same position a left-hander would take if he were to lean against a tree while swinging an axe. Okay. The suspect's height and weight were estimated from the size of the overalls, and fastidious habits. Fastidious habits. What vocabulary of the day, I guess. Fastidious. That's a strange word. What is that? Do you know what it means?
Well, we could probably infer from the context.
Okay, so like the way he was eating or walking or... Okay.
Yep.
All right. Were evidenced by some, neatly cut fingernail clippings found in the pocket. So, he's very neat. Okay. In addition, the receipt for a registered letter was found in the pocket. The police later traced to a $50 money order sent by Roy Dietrich and his brother Hugh in Lakewood, New Mexico on September 14th, 1923. So... about 2 months before October. Okay, so 2 months before the massacre, they went and ordered money. Money orders, okay, I don't know. Investigators then questioned Paul Dietrich. There's 4 siblings, but only 3 of them did the massacre. Who confirmed that, it's his dad. Okay. Who confirmed that all 3 sons were lumberjacks and that Roy was left-handed. The .45 Colt weapon found at the crime scene was traced to William Elliott, quite a name, whose handwriting matched that of Roy Diatramut. And the rared express tags found in the suitcase revealed that Roy had mailed it to himself from Eugene to Portland on January 21st of that year. Although there was enough evidence to identify that the Diatramut brothers as the most likely suspects, apprehending them was another matter. All three had disappeared since the incident, and the federal government offered a $6,000 reward for their capture, with another $7,000 added by the Southern Pacific and $900 from the Railway Express Company. News of the Siskiyou massacre had attracted national attention by this time, and investigators received reports of numerous sightings, followed by every one of these new leads. None of these leads ever panned out. The U.S. government eventually issued 2,265,000 wanted posters printed in English and in 5 other languages, which were then distributed internationally. These guys. We're putting a train whistle over that. Jeez. That's honestly kind of insane. It's quite a little story there.
Pretty gruesome.
Yeah. Oh. I, however, unfortunately, do not have any information on the locomotive or any of the passenger cars other than that one mail car. I'm assuming steep tunnel, somewhat long passenger train, and it's an express, so maybe consolidation at the smallest.
Well, you had the engine number in there?
And engine railroad train number 13.
Oh, I thought you had an engine number of...
I had train 13, and then I had ONC number 5337 Pullman class, just the baggage mail car.
So a correction, I looked up Siskiyou Summit.
Okay.
The Coast Starlight runs over Cascade Summit, which is a little farther east, goes through Klamath Falls, and then up that way.
Okay.
The Siskiyou Summit is a little farther west. It's along the I-5 corridor. I actually came through there just this past year, along the highway, but that line that goes through there, I think, is abandoned now.
Okay. Well, after that, I would figure, jeez.
But it did look like a pretty crazy railroad, some steep.
Yeah, so 20s, I'm thinking nothing bigger than 4960. I mean, I'm thinking consolidation Mikado at the largest.
The first Northern was was built in the early 1920s.
Yeah, and
so it could have been a Northern.
It could have been a Northern, but that is a steep pass.
They were running some articulated engines, I think, in the 19-teens and 1920s.
But they have articulated
some Malleys. I think
Malleys, right?
Yeah.
It could have been. I don't know. Details lost to history, at least lost to history of what I know. Well,
okay. That timer that went off was telling me that I have water running outside and I need to go turn it on.
All right, go do that. That is the end of season 1, episode 1. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be per season, but thank you all for joining us, letting me waste your time, and farewell.